folks, the House passed this resolution praising the life and legacy of white supremacist Charlie Kirk. He was gunned down speaking at a university in Utah. It got out 310 votes, but a lot of people are saying what the hell was going on, because you had 58 Democrats voted no, but you had 38 that actually refused to vote as well. You see the vote totals right there. And so, again, you had 95 Democrats vote yes. Among them, Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. In addition to Jeffries, you had 3 other CBC members who voted for the particular resolution. This, of course, has folks asking some serious questions. Why in the hell would Democrats actually do this? Did it make any sense whatsoever? Now, I'm going to pull up right now for you the actual vote. So you see right here, this is the blue. This is the total number of people who agreed on the resolution right here. All those are red or Republicans, and you have the blue. So when you go through here, you see names: Pete Aguilar, California. You've got Judy Chu. You've got look at here, Henry Cuellar. You got Don Davis, CDC member out of North Carolina. He voted yes for this. You got Debbie Dingell voted yes as well. You got Steny Hoyer of Maryland. He voted yes. You see Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries voted yes. Also on this list, you see the likes of Ted Lieu. You see Congressman Gregory Meeks, another CBC member. He voted yes. Jared Moskowitz, Gerald Nadler, Frank Pallone. You've got Jamie Raskin. He voted yes. Pat Ryan of New York. He voted yes. David Scott, which he's in a plus 42 point Democratic district. He voted yes as well. And then when you look at the other names here, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, former head of the DNC, also voted yes. Now, if we go down here, these are the Democrats that voted no. And you see a ton of CBC members down here. At the bottom here are the people who actually, now this is the group that voted present. Alma Adams of North Carolina voted present. And then when you go you go across here, Janelle Bynum, you go right around here, you see Lloyd Dogg, you see Dwight Evans, another CBC member, Lois Franco, you see, you go right around here, Ro Khanna, Jennifer McClellan, another CBC member out of Virginia, plus 32 district. Let's see here, you see the other names right here. And then we go over here. These are the folks who did not vote. You see four Republicans did not vote. And then you see Joaquin Castro, Steve Cohen, representing black folks there in Memphis. Robert Garcia, the House Oversight Ranking member, not voting. George Latimer, Joe Nagase, a CBC member out of Colorado. Nancy Pelosi did not vote. Jan Schakowsky, Illinois, did not vote. Melody Stansbury, Eric Swalwell, Richie Torres, New York. Mark Vesey, another CBC member out of Texas. Eugene Vindman did not vote as well. Let me just put it as clear as possible. Shameful. Yes, shameful for 4 CBC members. First of all, it's shameful for all the Democrats who voted for this resolution. But even more shameful that House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries and Gregory Meeks voted for this. Don Davis, now he's in a +3 red district, but it doesn't matter. How about having some conscience? How about having some integrity when it comes to voting here? This, to me, is beyond shameful. It is utterly ridiculous because, again, you can vote against. And also David Scott. And I call out Meeks and Scott, both my frat brothers. Hakeem Jeffries, he's a Kappa. I'm going to call him out. It's different if the resolution dealt with the issue of political violence. But Republicans are treating Charlie Kirk like he was a martyr. And you can't overlook the stuff that Charlie Kirk actually said, especially about black people. And there were members who went to the floor who spoke his words before this vote taking place, including Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Today, the Republican House majority brought to the floor a resolution honoring, quote, honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's assassination was a horrific and vile attack and incident of political violence. And condemning the depravity of Kirk's brutal murder is a straightforward matter, one that is especially important to help stabilize an increasingly unsafe and volatile political environment where everyday people feel more at risk. We can deeply disagree and come together as a country to denounce the horror of this killing. And it is not a license for the abuse of power and whitewashing of American history. Today's resolution only underscores the majority's recklessness by choosing to author this condemnation and honoring on a purely partisan basis, instead of uniting Congress in this tragedy with one of the many bipartisan options to condemn political violence and Kirk's murder, as we did with the late Melissa Hortman. Instead, the majority proceeded with a resolution that brings great pain to the millions of Americans who endured segregation, Jim Crow, and the legacy of bigotry today. We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake, who after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi claimed that, quote, some amazing patriot, unquote, should bail out his brutal assailant, and accused Jews of controlling, quote, not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, unquote. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from the working, quote, working tirelessly to promote unity, unquote, asserted by the majority in this resolution. It is equally important that Congress does unite to reject the government's attempt to weaponize this moment into an all-out assault on free speech across the country, all in the name of Charlie Kirk. President Trump and the FCC are now cynically threatening to shut down ABC and any outlets who give airtime to the administration's political critics. This is a disgusting attack on the American people and the very First Amendment rights that define us as a country. It is also the ABC Corporation's responsibility to refuse to embolden and participate in this corruption and escalation of censorship. We continue to pray for Mr. Kirk's family and loved ones in the wake of this terrible act. I am thinking especially of his children and his wife, whose grief cannot be measured. And with that, I yield back to the gentleman.
Robert, you work for Congressman Jonathan Jackson. To me, this is a no-brainer here, voting against this. And voting no on this, it's not like Republicans say, oh, you don't care about political violence. No. But to vote for this and how it was written, and I read the entire resolution yesterday, how, oh, patriot, family man, Christian, they're trying to create a martyr. And I'm sorry, you cannot ignore the stuff, the venom that came out of his mouth.
Well, look, you have to look at how they wrote the bill. I'm going to read directly from the bill. They say, whereas I read the whole bill yesterday. The whole thing. I think the people need to hear you. Whereas a heinous act of violence is a sobering reminder, growing threat of political extremism and hatred in our society, politically motivated violence is antithetical to the principles of free republic, and the different opinion and debate should not be silenced. They wrote it in such a way.
I got it right here. Y'all can pull it up.
They have wrote it in such a way that they want any Democrat in a swing district to have to rest on a vote saying that they were against heinous acts of political violence being a bad thing. And Speaker Jeffries is singularly motivated. He was like a Terminator. He is singularly motivated to make sure he maintains every single seat that he has in the House and then picks one of the half dozen in order to make sure that Democrats get the majority into the 2026 election. We cannot take the risk of being painted as the BLM, anti-crime, Antifa party when you're talking about those people in the suburbs.
Got it. Here's the problem. Go to my iPad. This chart here shows you these districts, okay? Plus 39, plus 17, plus 31, plus 13, plus 35, plus 11, plus 24, plus 26, plus 16. Now, Jim Costa's plus 3.8. Henry Cuellar is a Republican plus 7.3. Don Davis is plus 3.2. But let's go right here. Plus 15, plus 13, plus 28, plus 5, plus 23. I'm looking at plus 23, plus 11, plus Steny Hoyer is plus 33. Jared Huffman is plus 45. Jeffries is plus 44. Okay? Rick Larson, plus 23. John Larson, plus 22. I'm going to go up here. Susie Lee, Republican, plus 0.7. Mike Levin, Democrat, plus 7.8. Sam Liccardo, California, plus 48.5. Ted Lieu, plus 39. Zoe Lofgren, plus 29. Stephen Lynch, plus 25. Sarah McBride, plus 14. Now, I'm skipping everybody who's under 9, okay? But Morgan McGarvey, plus 18. James McGovern, plus 20. Congressman Gregory Meeks, plus 41.8. Joseph Morrell, plus 18. Kelly Morrison, plus 21. Richard Neal, plus 13. John Olszewski, plus 18. Jimmy Panetta, plus 34. Scott Peters, plus 29. Jamie Raskin, plus 55.8. Luz Rivas, plus 34. Deborah Ross, plus 33. Bradley Schneider, plus 22. David Scott, Georgia, plus 42.4. I guarantee you they're going to use that against him when he's running for re-election. Mikey Sherrill, who's running for governor of New Jersey, plus 0.887. Adam Smith, plus 41. Then I go over here. Haley Stevens, plus 16. Lori Trahan, plus 18. Juan Vargas, plus 21. Michael, these folks have no damn excuse.
Yeah, Roland, you know, I looked at the pros and cons of this. I read the article from Reuters where Jamie Raskin was telling Democrats to avoid the trap, don't fall into the Republican trap, vote for the bill. I'm glad you read the bill yesterday. I watched your show yesterday. And I read statements from the Congressional Black Caucus members saying why they could not vote for this bill. OK, and I would have to go with them. You know, if I was, you know, I'm not an elected official, never will be. But if I was, I couldn't vote for this white nationalist bill that is going to be a national day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk, and looking at the negative things he said about black people, especially black women. We look at the professor's watch list he had that also encouraged his followers to go online and attack African-American professors like Dr. Stacey Patton. Okay, so but this is now, even though we're calling out the Democrats who voted for these things like this, we have to remember all 215 Republicans voted for this. So we have to pay them back at the ballot box. Yes, we can hold the Democrats accountable who voted for it, but oftentimes what happens, and I'm not saying you're doing this, Roland, but oftentimes what happens, Republicans vote for bills that harm us and they pay no price. So we have to make sure that they pay a price at the ballot box when we vote them out.
But here's the thing right here. To that particular point, Matt, go to my iPad. When Congressman Jamal Bowman put forth the resolution to condemn white supremacy after 10 black people were gunned down in a Buffalo grocery store, guess what this article says? Every Republican in the House voted against the measure, including those Republicans who are in swing districts. The point I'm making here, Matt, this is where you have to have a conscience and some guts and say, I'm sorry. If y'all don't want to reelect me, that's fine. But I'm not voting for some bullshit.
I agree with you completely. I agree with you completely, and I agree with Michael's sentiment on it. And I get the strategic question of avoiding the trap and being concerned about how things will be painted. But, you know, if you want to look at the language of that resolution further, that language of the resolution completely sanitizes what Charlie Kirk really did.
It actually says nothing. Nothing. It's oh, look at this here. Look, no, this it right here. He was a dedicated husband to his beloved wife, Erica Kirk, loving father to their daughter. That's all fine. Exemplifying the virtues of faith, fidelity, and fatherhood. Okay, that's fine. A fierce defender of the American founding and its timeless principle of life, liberty, limited government, and individual responsibility. Oh, how he got this group and they proposed this here. But this right here, I'm sorry, bullshit. He became one of the most prominent voices in America, engaging in respectful civil discourse across college campuses, media platforms, and national forums, always seeking to elevate truth, foster understanding, and strengthen the republic. How about when he also lied? But go ahead.
But that's the exact paragraph, or one of the paragraphs I was thinking of. I mean, sanitizing this to say respectful civil discourse when you're saying things like a Supreme Court justice doesn't have the requisite cognitive power, black women don't have the requisite, brain power to be in certain positions. That is not per se respectful discourse. What I think they have done is a good job of conflating the way somebody said something or the tone that he used or the perceived calmness with, quote, respect. He was not a respectful person. The discourse was abhorrent. And that if it were coming out of a black person's mouth and it were trained at white people, they would call him every manner of racist and hateful and whatever. But because his ideology dovetails with the party in power and the party that is trying to leverage this tragic killing, they are going to, make it sound, lionize him, basically. They're lionizing him. And I think the problem with this is one, ceremonial. Two, it's not truly substantive. And three, when you look at the language, it is legitimizing people who use this kind of language and this kind of vitriol by making them martyrs. And that's the problem. I think there's a difference between saying we've got a First Amendment right, free speech, all of those things. I could not agree more, forcefully. But I think we also have to be able to say, if you are saying abhorrent things about people in society, you may have a freedom of speech, but you don't have a freedom of consequence. And one of those consequences is we may say that you are a hateful, vitriolic person. These things logically follow. And I think when you vote for a resolution like this, you are legitimizing the respectful discourse of a person who says abhorrent, disrespectful, mongrelizing things about large groups of people and who feeds into things like the Great Replacement theory. That is per se not respectful. And I think when you vote for something like this, you're legitimizing it in a way you absolutely should not be willing to legitimize.
And here's what Republicans are doing. Go to my iPad. New bill filed in Oklahoma that says every public university, I need y'all to listen to me, every public university in the state must have a Charlie Kirk Memorial Plaza with a statue of Kirk and his family. It gets worse. The Oklahoma proposed the bill to public universities promptly build these Charlie Kirk Memorial Plazas, saying he was, quote, a voice of a generation, modern civil rights leader, vocal Christian, martyr for truth and faith, and free speech advocate, or be fined. I said everyone. That means Langston University, Robert, will be required to have a Charlie Kirk Plaza. And the Democrats who voted for this now give them cover by saying, well, wait a minute, your House Democratic leader, your former whip, Steny Hoyer, they voted for this resolution praising the life and work of Charlie Kirk.
Look, we have to look at the bigger picture on this. We have to remember that we're going to be in a tooth and nail fight next year trying to take back the House of Representatives. And even if your district is safe, you have to look at the six of your brother and figure out whether or not this will be painted in such a way that makes it look like Democrats are in favor of political violence, when we know good and well that these issues are are taking place across the board. We have to deal with gun violence. We have to deal with the mental health crisis. But when we take these ceremonial votes and make this the hill that we are going to die on, we risk the real substantive issues such as Medicare, SNAP, housing, all
Robert,
those things are in danger.
No. What Democrats risk by not taking a stand is for their own people not voting. The most fundamental problem they have right now, it's all in the polling. People don't believe that they're fighters. They don't believe that they stand for anything. The reality is the House Freedom Caucus will shut that whole shit down to stand on principle. And the problem is Democrats made the calculations. Listen, all we heard from Chuck Schumer, oh no, we can't change the rules when it comes to nominations, because if we change the rules and the Republicans get power, they're going to do the same thing. So you know what Democrats didn't do? They didn't change the rules. You know what Republicans just did last week? They changed the goddamn rules. Say they just voted the other day on 48 Trump nominees. So the Republicans don't give a shit about norms. All they care about is power. And I'm simply saying is, when are Democrats going to show some fucking guts? And this vote was gutless. And it was gutless for Hakeem Jeffries to vote for it and to whip his members to vote for it. Now, if what you just said, if Jeffries said, hey, here's the deal. Anybody who's in a district that's 10 points or less blue and is red, guess what? Y'all go ahead and vote for it. But the rest of y'all, we ain't voting for this shit. That ain't what he did.
You have to look at what we're trying to do. And we risked this in what happened in 2020 and 2024. They were able to paint Democrats as being the anti-police, defund the police, all these issues, and it lost in the suburbs. It's lost in the margins. It's lost in those areas.
No. They lost, Robert, with some sorry-ass candidates because there were other people who were in the same suburban districts who also won, who were better candidates. Ocasio-Cortez made that particular point. Matt, the problem they have is they're going to need their base coming out hard in the election. And if you doing stuff and you telling your base it's sort of blasé, who the hell going to swing for you?
And I actually agree with you 1,000%, Roland. I don't detract from that point at all, because I think here the Democrats should have chosen, those who voted should have chosen the stronger path. I get Robert's concern. I understand it conceptually from a strategic standpoint. But I think the problem is this. Number one, it's not like you're going to curry favor with the people who aren't going to vote Democrat anyway by voting for this resolution, number one. Number two, it's a ceremonial resolution that's not substantive. You're not talking about funding anything. You're talking about lionizing a person who said abhorrent things and who is being lionized for saying abhorrent things because its quote is indicative of the freedom of speech. I don't think they had to do that. I think they could have issued a resolution or issued a statement separately that says we condemn political violence, but not also voted for this resolution. And I understand that the wording made people concerned. I understand I'm not in a political office, so, I get how you can have those concerns strategically. But I think this was a perfect time to show the exact kind of fight that particularly young people, I feel like, across the nation are saying the Democrats don't have. When the Democrats have an opportunity to show that they have a backbone, they do this. They vote for this resolution, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it legitimized, in my opinion, horrible rhetoric under the guise of it being respectful discourse. And I think there's another path, which is you issue a statement that says we soundly condemn political violence, and then you don't vote for this or you vote against this. And then I think you accomplish both goals. And even if you get painted as being whatever, socialist, far right or far left, voting for political violence, then you have a statement against that. But it's not like they're going to show you love anyway, voting for this resolution. I don't think that you needed to do this. And I think it showed a lack of backbone, to be frank.
And here's the whole deal, Michael. Congressman Mark Vesey actually had an alternative resolution that specifically spoke to political violence, that left all the rest of that crap out. And if you were Democrat and you this is what you say. I would have voted for this. This is what my colleague put forth. It has every single thing in there talking about political violence, but it did not have all the rest of that crap. That's how I would respond to somebody who would say, how dare you vote against this resolution for Charlie Kirk? I would have said, I would have voted for this one, but Republicans wouldn't let it happen.
Absolutely. A few things. So I totally understand the bigger picture that Robert is focused on. Okay. I totally understand that. But at the very same time, January 6th, a lot of the people who voted, Republicans who voted for this resolution, voted not to convict Trump in the House when they had the impeachment. Okay. Number one, for January 6th. Number two, a lot of them supported the January 6th insurrectionists. That was political violence. So you can, on the one hand, in this resolution, denounce political violence when you supported it with the January 6th insurrection and you supported Trump giving a pardon to 1,500 of the insurrectionists. This is a bullshit resolution, okay? So Democrats, and 95 Democrats voted for this, okay? I posted about this on my Facebook fan pages, and a lot of black people were saying, all of the CBC should have voted no on this, and they were giving hell to the Democrats who voted for this resolution. And this, once again, contributes to the narrative that Democrats, many of them are weak and don't fight. Okay, so all of them should have voted no on this, and then say, hey, Mark Vesey's resolution will go, this is what we wanted, and you can't, and they need to hang around the neck of Republicans. You can't on the one hand say that you are against political violence, but you supported January 6th.
And what has to happen now? What has to happen right now is Jeffries, every damn time there's a school shooting, resolution. Every time. And force Republicans to say no. Force them to say, I'm not going to bring it to the floor. But voting for this bullshit is trash. That's what it is.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.